Note to self, if an irradiated man who happens to be like the third copy that you've run into ever tells you, don't go in there, don't go in there.
The Redacted Files is an actual play podcast.
Ooh, and a natural 20.
Is anyone just a little discomforted by the fact that she gets so excited with the natural 20?
With tales of horror and suspense.
And he wishes you a good afternoon.
I go home to the nightmares I will inevitably have.
Told one bad die roll at a time.
That's your attack?
Yes.
Stop laughing at us.
Visit us at theredactedfiles.com, where you can give us a listen or join us in telling the next story.
You can investigate or you can go down the stairs.
I think we'll go. Do you guys think we'll go? I think we'll go.
Hey, this is Ross Bain with Roleplaying Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 128, My Player's Keeper. Relationships between player characters in game.
That sounds fascinating.
All right.
It got weird.
All right, we have Tom, Shaun, and...
Me! Faust!
There we go. Faust. From the third wheel, who's been so kind to show up again.
Yay, it's always fun.
And a purple shirt, no less. Nice.
And special shout out to the Redacted Files, who that intro you just listened to. I played a little promo ad for them.
It was great.
It was amazing.
You haven't heard it, but thank you
Well,
for that.
you ruined it for the
Whoa! We're trying to
I parted the veil. Look behind the curtain. Yeah.
Dang it.
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about relationships between player characters, how it can help a game, how it can get tracked if you get too carried away, and one-on-one scenes and that kind of thing.
Right.
But finding the balance in all things. Talk about some of our recent games.
Find the middle road.
Find the middle road. Oh
dear.
So we also have some news first. Obviously, the Red Markets Kickstarter is coming May 23rd. But before then, RPPR B-Sides Volume 3 Campaign Crypt is finally out.
Oh dear,
So this is a collection of 20 games available for $20. If you're an AP Hound completionist and you need your fix.
If you want to get some Tom games on.
Yes. I call this Campaign Crypt because these are 4 campaigns that have never seen the light of day. 2 of them were one sessions, one session each.
Were they intended to be full campaigns?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't
RJ, he just kind of...
If you run a campaign, it just runs to the ground. It goes B-sides.
Usually.
If you run a game and it's complete shit, it goes B-sides 2 shifts later.
No, they're
Like, for example, I ran something a while back, and it's going to be Volume 4 or 5. So
you don't know that, Sean. I may have.
I'm psychic.
And it's not all shit. Actually, one of the campaigns on there I was quite proud of.
So we have your Heroes of Cepheus Pathfinder campaign that I had a lot of fun in. We've talked about it before on the podcast.
We talked about actually resurrecting.
Yeah, so now you can. First,
now you can see what the
context.
original run was like.
Tom's 4-session Mutants and Masters
Fuck
campaign.
that. God.
And then we've also talked about this before in the podcast for you hardcore fans out there. And we've also, RJ's tried to start a Pathfinder campaign. He also tried to start a Mutants Mastermind campaign. Each went one session. We also have some Gen Con games from 2013, 2014. We also have our Best Last Hope. A one shot of that. It's an indie storytelling kind of game.
Oh,
GM-less.
We got more games than you can shake a barbed wire covered stick.
A game of Fiasco from last year. starring
Fiasco!
God, I might actually.
Yes. You get more Thad.
You get more Thad.
No, Fiasco. Holy shit! I probably have to hear this.
It is. It was a shorter game, less than 2 hours. Very short by our standards. But I had some fun with it, and so it's on there. So there's 20 games. You get the full list on there. I'll have the link by the time you see this. And hip hop. Yeah, so that's it for news, unless there's any Thrilling Intent, Third Wheel. Okay, so again, should I say Thrilling Intent or Third Wheel?
Thrilling Intent, probably.
Thrilling Intent. Okay.
In the future, we hope to branch out and create more things, but for now, we just make Thrilling Intent. Well, there are already 4 of us.
So Third Wheel is the big thing, and Thrilling Intent is a thing under the big thing. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So Thrilling Intent.
Thus always to things.
Yes.
Yeah, thus always to things.
I did actually start an episode.
I think Plato said that.
I'm going to be listening to it.
But anyways, is there any Thrilling Intent news?
Aside from go watch it, no, I don't think so. I will be doing YouTube. Yeah, I'll be doing a live stream. Well, actually, we will be doing a live stream. Later this month, we will be playing Tenra Bansho Zero.
Oh, yeah. It's a Japanese tabletop role playing game that was translated into English.
Super weird.
Not like the Made RPG or anything.
No, that Made was written in English. It is a fan.
I thought that was actually written in Japanese.
I'm pretty sure.
I heard it was translated, but I
don't think. Yeah,
I'm sure there are whole forums.
It's
and
a very
devoted to it.
Yes,
science fantasy, like sci-fi and magic, and it's basically the riffs of.
It's like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Okay,
so Tenor Bancho is anything fucking goes.
Yeah.
And
the books look really nice. I've seen them. They come in like a slipcase,
like the art,
hardcover. It's anime art.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
There's like manga.
Anime.
Yeah, there's like manga in the rule book explaining the rules. It's pretty.
That
cool.
is awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It's it looks very slick. It's one of those games I've been tempted to get. I've been on the fence because it's kind of expensive.
I mean, now we have someone
it's like $60 or $70.
But now that we have someone that has access to it, so
I will make the statement: if you can get this for RPPR,
well, actually, are you running it or are you playing?
I'm playing in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and
holy shit.
Brennan Williams, Shogun of the Row, will also be playing in it. We thought it was apt because he plays a kabuki-themed wrestler.
Damn! And what day is this?
This will be the last Saturday of the month.
Kabuki-man.
Of
May.
5.
May.
I will need to listen to this.
All right.
Holy shit.
I'll try to put a link
Yeah.
through a link in the chat, the live stream. Hopefully I remember that in the show notes. If not,
you will
bitch at me in the comments.
You will.
We will just bitch at me in the comments.
If we remember.
Does it happen anyway?
I'll remember.
It always does. Usually when you get something about guns wrong.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to when I do a Warhammer 40k RPG because I know
oh my God.
I'm going to get all of its intricate lore so correct. They'll just be amazed. Be like, you got everything right.
You got
Ross,
everything
when
right.
you run it, you do realize I've got your back.
I know.
Don't include a single gun in the campaign.
reasons that we can
You're all
explain
pacifists.
later.
You negotiate.
If you want to bring it up later, Ross.
Like, dude, make peace, not war.
Yeah.
Ross, you can explain later why I have your back for 40k.
I know. No, to be honest, I'm tempted to just be like, fuck the lore. I'm going to like deliberately get things wrong just to fuck with these.
I know.
Now that I've said that, though, am I going to do that? Or is it just...
No, Ross.
You got to listen.
Like, we all play pacifistic orcs.
Yeah.
Ross, you're going to try, and I'm going to help.
No, I'm definitely going to do only war.
But it's going to be fun.
I'm going to do only war first.
I would...
and I'm going to pretend it's a game.
And again,
mash,
for reasons you know,
I love that.
I'm fucking there.
Yeah.
So.
No, we will do only war. I'm trying to learn a lot of new systems.
If we have time during this episode,
but anyways, we should probably talk about the main topic. So Faust had the idea for this. So can you explain some of your thinking behind?
Yeah. So the topic for this episode is relationships between player characters.
Yeah.
This is something that's been on my mind recently, and I've been talking about it with a couple other people, and I haven't really had a lot of experience with addressing it or GMing it. I think I'm fascinated by how relationships between players can affect the narrative. It can be positive, it can be negative, and regardless of positive or negative, the narrative shifts to accompany this new relationship because then they interact with each other differently, they'll interact with other players differently. And also, I should clarify, this is, strictly speaking, relationships in-game.
Yeah.
But of course, this can also be influenced by relationships out of the game.
That is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, there's always
very important.
what we call the social contract gaming etiquette,
Yes.
and just and I think I've mentioned this years before in the podcast. The geek social fallacies. If you've heard of these, they're kind of these. Look it up. They're very very like insightful into geek culture and some of the social fallacies we do. Which is like, if you're a friend, we should do everything together as friends. So like, the common thing is like, we're friends, so we should play tabletop role playing games together, even though you hate them and you always sabotage my game because we're friends. So
I'm going to be a.
That's why it's called a social fallacy. You know,
I'm going to be a blunt savage about this. There is one version of this entire aspect that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
And that is personal, I mean lowercase romantic when I say it, romantic relationships between player and GM.
Okay.
You bring your girlfriend or boyfriend into a game, that fucks up the game. I'm going to be blunt about this, okay?
Okay.
If you have to...
I remember.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're not going there.
We're not going to go there, but he knows.
I'm just going to say...
It's a test of the relationship, I think.
Well, no, it's also the fact that you do tend to favor... Like, I ran a game, my ex-wife was in it, and... I favored her on most of her decisions. Okay, fine. Damn it.
Jeez, Shaun.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's a test of the relationship.
Okay.
It's like
No, it does. I mean, it creates a very problematic situation. So it's like my personal recommendation that you're running a game, your current significant other should not be in it.
I think it's a case-by-case basis,
It could work out. It can work out.
I mean,
it's just an issue of when you're new in the relationship.
oh no, yeah.
Hell no. Should not be in there.
Well, that's what I mean by it's a test. Like,
Right.
can you separate each other
Exactly.
enough to, like, I'm playing a game and I'm going to be competing with you in some sense of the word.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't just favor you while we're hanging out with all the friends. It's like any other team.
So I'm sorry to go
sport.
heavy right off, but let's be.
Yeah.
It's like the elephant in the room. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to deal with this. So let's
Sure.
get it out of the way before we get to like the more subtle.
I mean, that
interesting
is a big
things.
thing. Because I think we've had examples of that on RPPR. Certainly, like
I've not been here for that.
okay, well, yeah. Well, we're like most recently, the I think the last game we had that was like the mascot. Well, they were both players on that, Bill and Melissa. But Caleb ran a whole campaign with Sarah.
I was saying the issue, the bigger
Yeah.
issue. If you're both players, it's not that big of an issue.
No, it's not.
But on the other hand, if one of you is running the game,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna have a fucking issue. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's gonna happen.
I think the key is if you can play together like Mortal Kombat and not get mad at each other. Like,
Are you
Or
saying
Monopoly.
or Monopoly.
Damn it! You beat me to it.
Yeah.
All right,
Monopoly is the game that destroys relationships.
No, I mean not quite like
no,
that.
wait,
I mean,
there's
it's
one
not,
other.
It's not quite diplomacy.
There's one other.
Well, people
There's one
actually
other
play
big one
Monopoly.
outside Monopoly. You ready? Brace yourself.
Okay.
Risk.
Risk.
I haven't
Risk?
played much Risk.
There, actually, I got told by a police officer. More relationship. There are actually domestic violence issues that
Over
are centered
Risk.
over Risk and Monopoly. Okay,
Because
It
those are
happens.
games everyone plays. Like,
Right.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
Like
So larger-
diplomacy
larger
only
sample size.
weird nerds play.
and people
Let's be
get
honest.
butthurt, and it happens. Okay,
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's just, it's not as bad as say Monopoly because Monopoly is explicitly competitive.
Risk.
Or
Risk is not
bad
fucking
game.
competitive.
Well, no.
Really?
I'm comparing it to like a role playing game.
Yeah.
A role playing
Well,
game is
I mean-
not strictly competitive.
Like I said, role playing games. Yeah,
Explicitly.
role playing games are not as competitive. But you know what? If you play enough, you know that it does go there.
Sure.
And there are issues that come up. And if you have a deep personal relationship with somebody, and
It has to be strong.
Yeah, no, a deep, strong personal
Yeah.
relationship with somebody, and your characters are at odds, it can get weird.
Yeah.
There's also the other issue where it gets lovey-dovey and weird.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of lovey-dovey,
Here we go.
So back on topic. There was a. Is it out? The Dungeon Crawl Classics thing?
Yes.
yes, it is.
Brandoline
In fact, by the
yeah.
way, that
Yeah.
specific relationship you're addressing is a fan favorite.
Is it?
Yes,
That's
it is.
amazing.
Read
Yeah.
the fucking reviews, Faust.
That's awesome.
Read
But
the comments, man.
I try. But yeah, no. That was actually one of the relationships.
So
I
this
was
is Dungeon
thinking
Crawl
about.
Classics Brandolin Red, I
Yeah,
think.
Brindle
Yes.
and Red. Yeah, they served Brindle and Red. It was-
They
yeah,
served
yeah.
Brandolin Red. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no. This relationship between Mip and Pauline. This
Oh,
is
God.
this
One
was-
of your peasants and one of Caleb's peasants.
Yes, and it was a forbidden relationship.
It was an elf and a halfling?
Yes.
You were
Was
the
it
halfling.
I was
or
the
gnome.
halfling.
All right.
I can't remember.
I was.
I don't think, no,
small.
there were dwarves. There weren't gnomes. I don't think.
Yeah, because it was.
must have been a halfling then.
Yeah, it was half.
It was halfling, dwarf, and elf and human.
Yeah.
No gnomes.
Yeah, I hate gnomes. Anyway,
That's second ed D&D thing.
You know.
anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That was something that I'd actually been considering because it ended up going fantastically.
Yeah.
And it was completely unscripted. Like I had no idea Caleb was going to do that. And he like really took the initiative on it. And once I figured out what he was doing, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do
Yeah.
it. And I think something that struck me is one of the reasons I think it worked so well is because the game was comedic.
Yeah.
The game was largely revolving around like having a light tone and being humorous, despite the very obviously life or death situations that we were put in, as could not be made clearer by the mechanics of the game.
Well, and to be fair, that's partially also like the GM choice. In terms of Dungeon Crawl Classic, you could run it straight in Grim Dark and that kind of thing.
No, but the
but-
players. I'm going to be honest. Players in a DCC Grimdark kind of situation, are going to go comic. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry.
I think that depends on the group. There are the
I think
Okay, fine.
Especially when I'm walking around with 4 expendable meat puppets.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm saying but that's a
as
game
somebody
choice.
else who was
but
in
anyways.
that game, I mean, I specifically designed a character to get killed,
Right.
and that failed.
But not every group plays it that way.
But I'm saying, like, the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
relationship between Mip and what was the other name?
Pauline.
Yeah, Mip and Pauline was actually being there while it was going on.
You saw the fire in our eyes.
It was beautiful. No, it was actually it was played up for straight up laughs.
Yeah.
And yet there was it was actually well developed.
Yeah.
It was good writing. Okay, I know I've referred to this in a previous RPPR about lazy writing. It wasn't just they happen to have a relationship. It was played up well. It played it for comedy. It played it for game effect. It went across the board and it was great.
Right.
It actually had.
Well,
an
why
effect.
don't we talk about how that came about? So, Faust, it kind of started with I can't remember exactly who started. Was it
Caleb.
It was Caleb. Caleb threw this idea at you.
It was they had the
And-
characters
Well, it
out,
was-
and he said, we're in a forbidden relationship."
Yeah. Well, basically what happened is, as I remember it, is I named the character Mip.
Yeah.
And then Caleb got excited about that. He was like, once I heard you call him Mip.
Yeah.
I was like,
got some weird fetishes,
Yeah,
I want him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Paul he jumped in with Pauline, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I see what he's going for.
Okay.
Yeah, let's play this up.
So I think that's I think that kind of is an example of how good player relationships work. Is like one player comes up with an idea that can be batted back and forth.
Exactly.
And then the other player takes it, and then it's like a game of tennis or something where here's this idea, relationship. Okay, well, how about this? And then back it. And then,
Yeah,
so
maybe not too much time.
It's scene building.
Not
it's
too
basic
much time, 'cause
improv.
otherwise you might get 2 ex-Mormons who are magicians.
Well, I mean that's where it goes wrong. I think.
Okay, so sometimes it happens spontaneously and it's wonderful, and sometimes 2 players sit down at the beginning of a campaign. They've heard about the premise and they go, "Hey, do you want to create team characters?"
Right, exactly. They come in with a relationship.
Okay, I'm going to do something, and Ross is going to be pissed. There was one good thing Palladium did. Wait! Bear with me!
no, it's not disgust. It's a look of. It's more like Ross is like. "Ooh."
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't kill
in
the
the
levels like that.
TMNT and Other Strangeness setting,
Yeah.
there was a possibility of creating team characters.
Oh,
yes,
that's right.
you get bonuses for this, but the idea is
That's a
your characters are family or related somehow.
Interesting.
It's actually
Well, no,
kinda cool.
it was like if you were all the same type, you could all have the same background. Like if you're all the same type of man. Basically, it was a set of rules to thematically recreate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right.
It's because
And
the idea
yes.
is
and you get bonuses for it. We will give you rewards if you do this.
so that they're trying to replicate a particular, very particular genre.
And for the record, that has created some beautiful fucking roles.
so the idea is you all train together, so you all gain additional skill bonuses and shit like that.
Or you're all physically,
No,
you're
I-
actually genetically related, so you get attribute bonuses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was actually okay. So
That's interesting.
I'm not being an apologist. I'm saying that aspect was really cool.
Look, the Team DG system had a lot of interesting ideas. I mean, the main thing, the main reason why, of course, because it wasn't designed by Kevin Simieta. It was designed by Eric Wujek, who also did Amber Diceless.
Who was an amazing person.
Yeah.
That's so why I think the mutant animal creation.
Yeah, because it was a
point.
point spin system, anyways. It wasn't random roll.
I'm just saying,
or
like, I'm not being an apologist. I'm saying here is a special dynamic that
Right.
I felt was wonderful.
Right. No. So yeah, you could do that as an improv thing, like with Mip and Pauline. You could do it as like a specific plan thing.
But players can actually sit down and say, "Hey, what's our group dynamic? Let's talk this out."
I think
before we start."
players should do that no matter what if they're starting a campaign.
Yeah.
So, for example,
because, oh my god, if there's no. If if there's just like, all right, we're starting it, it starts boring.
Yeah, I think what we do for a lot of campaigns now is that we talk about it before we start, so that everyone has an idea of what the campaign is and like what your character should be, and like every other player knows what every other character is, so we know like, oh, we need a scientist, we need like a gun guy,
a forger sniper.
Well, yeah,
you always need a forger sniper.
Yeah, that was I think a mistake of us not doing that.
Not doing
quite
a
well.
one shot.
Yeah.
Wunderbar.
Well, and we've talked about that. That's just not understanding the mechanics and theme as well. But yeah, I mean, there have been times where this hasn't worked as well for you. So I think, haven't you? Or
Possibly.
Yeah.
There's I wouldn't say not worked as well, because like that was one of the only instances in which I think, and again, coming back to the comedic thing, I think that was one of the only instances in which a relationship escalated to like the romantic side of things and was received well and also like played out well.
Oh no, it was beautiful.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I mean, sorry, it was great. You guys did great. So.
But yeah, other times I find it like in a more serious game, like or in a more longer running campaign, I find it more difficult to wrap my head around how I should approach doing a relationship with another player, like another player character, either in a romantic sense or in a less than platonic sense. Just because it. Like I said, it would shift the narrative. You would have to suddenly there is this new aspect to your character, both of your characters, that influences how they interact or should interact with all the other players.
Right.
And also it would change, like, the way I view, like, a session is, like, in screen time.
Yeah.
Like, it would change the screen time or the tone of the screen time that everybody's character gets. Like, you'd have to work to incorporate the relationship into the limited amount of screen time that you have, while still advancing the plot, while still also hitting all the beats you want to hit for your characters.
Yeah, because I mean, what happens? Yeah, that's a very good point. So
Actually,
if you have character A and B, and then suddenly their screen time is not only that they have to spend their screen time for A plus B as well as A by themselves and B by themselves. And that's just a managerial thing, logistical thing. Like, how do you do this? And we had issues like that, I think, with the recent campaign, the most recent campaign we have done, which is Fallen Flag, Red Markets, where we had two banners. We had 6 player characters on it.
Yeah,
everyone here, plus Caleb, David, and Aaron, and so. The game explicitly has like vignettes where you have a personal scene where you interact with each other.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a fantastic dynamic.
It is a fight. It really helped flesh out your character. So everyone
will address more.
It was an explicit mechanical system to give everyone some individual screen time.
Yeah, no, and I love
But then you created scenes, especially with your character and Caleb's character, during the game where you developed an antagonistic relationship.
There were also
other ones, and
he created he actually created numerous scenes where it was not antagonistic. It was kind of, I wouldn't say it was awkward. It was kind of awkward.
It was
tense. With Cuddy, where you would try to placate a character who was already cool with you.
Yeah.
Well, it really showed off Amu.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks.
Invest in red flags, you bastards.
All right. Vaporwave?
That is
I'm sorry. I
right.
feel like every time there's whispering, I should say Vaporwave.
Oh.
Vaporwave.
Thank you.
All right.
That wasn't a whisper. That was more like a rasp.
Yeah.
Well, it was Cuddy.
Tomato.
It was Cuddy pushing Vaporwaves.
So,
you bitch.
But anyway, Ross, you know
I
what I'm saying?
feel like a lot. Some of these relationships can be planned. They can be like an improv, and some of it I feel like a lot of relationships should happen as a result of what happens in the game.
Yeah.
which happened in Red Markets. Like, not really a spoiler because I think we talked about it before, but like some of these relationships happen because of critical
People
failures in
fucking
combat.
up.
Yeah, I shot you in combat. Sorry, and then that goes back and forth. They carry a grudge.
Oh, hey, you were bleeding out from the leg, but you still patched us up afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You still like me, right?
Or positive. It doesn't have to be antagonistic.
Exactly.
And when I say antagonist, I don't mean like mortal enemies. I mean like there's that asshole at work you don't like.
It's very apt.
Yeah.
It's very apt.
That
much
dumbass assistant I have to work with.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost your fucking shit, but you still saved the day.
Yeah.
We're cool, right?
Yeah.
Are we cool? Totally cool. Fine.
I think there is. So I think the best way to do that is you can't have. It depends on the number of players and like what the focus of the campaign is.
Yeah.
There are campaigns that are very like plot focused, especially like mystery investigation games, where it's like, how do you figure out mystery X or how do you save the kingdom from the thing?
Exactly. Well,
but then there are campaigns that are more like Tom, you like, I know you're doing an After the Bomb campaign right now that's more like, hey, we're exploring this world, it's crazy, what's going on, and a lot of it is about how the players define their relationships with each other.
It can be a challenge when like there's some players are not used to that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so there was speaking of that campaign, which is yet to be released, and it will be. Listen. So, for example, David and I had this fantastic dynamic worked out. We were playing brother and sister. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, most of the players are related on some level.
I did all but two of the players.
Was that your choice as GM, or was that just the players?
It was the players, actually.
Yeah, the players
we
decided
actually
that.
said, I said, hey, Tom's doing After the Bomb. We had a campaign in the... Was that the 90s? Or early
No,
2000s?
it was the early. It was like
Fairly-
it was 2000. It was actually.
It was actually 2000. Okay, so we actually did a literal After the Bomb campaign with this family of characters.
using the books that came out in the 80s, not the new release of it.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
that aside,
Doesn't matter.
so we
It's
played a
just a
family back
reword.
then, and it actually worked out well. Our characters worked together decently. We had some premise ahead of time, so we didn't have that
awkward
horribly
establishment.
fucking awkward moment where you all meet in the tavern and somebody
find
pulls
the
a
amulet of
crossbow.
Yendor.
No,
I pretty much hate
when
those.
somebody pulls a
Yeah.
crossbow to show how badass they are, I don't trust you. Blah. Okay, so we avoided that by playing a family.
Yeah.
It was fun, but then the campaign fizzled because we ran it in Steak and Shake. It's a superstition. Okay, I'm sorry.
It was we would get there at like 10 o'clock at night and stay there until 4 in the morning.
And we'd run into like people we went to high school with. Anyhow, so
Whoa.
it was great.
That sounds
Fun.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds awful.
Really, ask me later. It was fun.
Okay, it would be
Write
now.
a note.
This is off topic, but anyway, keep going.
Okay.
Write a creative fiction essay about this. Like,
We
write
might
10,000
eventually-
words.
No, we might
We'll
eventually.
publish
It's
it.
actually creative nonfiction, because seriously,
No, it
fucking
happened.
A.
Like,
holy
but that's-
shit,
that's totally
no,
aside.
weird shit happened.
Yeah.
Steak and Shake after midnight, fucking weird. So
Weird.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
David pushed that we should play the same family we played before. Only I'd forced Tom to watch Arrested Development, and
So the whole theme was a fallen noble family.
But anyhow,
Right.
that aside, David and I, played related characters. Other people jumped in with different things, except for one player who decided, "I'm a badass assassin. I am Batman." Fuck him. Anyhow, so
Right.
he can do what he wants, and that's cool. We've talked it out. It's all good.
Is he the Tobias of the group?
Oh God, unwittingly.
Okay.
We're about to go there. Whenever we run more games,
He's
of
a
this.
never nude. All right.
I think
Have you seen
so.
Arrested
I think he
Development?
might be.
I have.
I
Okay,
think
good.
he might be a never dude. But Dave and I play off each other. I mean, the trial run of this, my character showed up in his apartment and was walking out holding a DVD player, and it's like,
So you're stealing from your brother.
yes,
Okay.
we're bad people.
Okay.
We're distinctly bad
Pettily.
people as a
Petty.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, it moves. The second edition turns into my character was kicked out of the manor house for after a horrible thing happened socially, and it's just decided to crash at David's place.
Right.
After stealing his DVD player.
Different character.
Okay.
Not still DVD player. Did install a bunch of Onion servers.
Okay.
What?
Tor. Yeah.
But yeah. So the idea is we play off each other with that, and actually, to be honest,
So was this like you and David just deciding this? Tom, did you have any role in this?
I just I'm more.
Tom watched.
I think it's more. I think it's important as a GM if you see something like that happening.
Right.
You do think it is.
You maybe give them a little more.
Well, it's a
screen time.
struggle. Like, oh God, do I just move on with the plot because I can tell one player is like really his eyes starting to twitch.
Yeah.
Or do
And
I
there's
let,
that screen time. thing.
or do
Exactly,
do
yeah.
I let this happen? And
So-
and when I saw this happening and I saw what it was developing, like, no, I'm going to let this happen.
So one of the
Okay.
great moments was David being David, decided to go with bad puns.
Okay.
Specifically, it was about him going to a club, and yes, there's a bunch of gay jokes.
Was there like a mace involved somehow?
No,
or like a
it was-
literal club?
It was like a literal, actually he's going to a gay club.
Okay.
But he kept making these bad puns about going out and doing
Yeah.
things, and my character's going, no, that's cool. I don't want to hear about it. No, I mean, and then finally by the end of it goes, so-and-so.
Yeah.
I can't really hear his name off the top of my head, actually. That's sad. Because we haven't played it in a while. You're my brother. I love you. I respect your decisions. Go out and have a good time.
Yeah.
Just do what you're going to do. In the meantime, I don't want to fucking hear about it. But I mean, things like that. I mean, it's just when the characters have a natural chemistry for each other, there is that problem.
And when the game you
Well,
design
I mean,
is
yeah.
when the game you design is specifically narrative based, player based, those are some of the best things to let happen.
But
Yeah.
one of the problems
Well, I mean, you're
is-
using GURPS for this, so it's not exactly.
actually, yeah, he switched to GURPS.
Yeah.
It was originally Fate, and that somehow didn't work. Don't ask.
fine.
But
It doesn't always look
here's
good.
the problem with that is how long do you let the players run?
Yeah, so
Before you push
Tom,
the plot.
your decision was to let him go a while because you were amused by it. So.
Yeah,
and also, I can also, it's almost looking around the table. You can kind of tell when some of the other players are tired of it.
Yeah.
And
so you watch them and be like, all
I
right,
watch
I need
them.
to cut. All right.
Because as a GM, if it's good and it's like she just showing no signs of slowing down, like, dude, just fill in time.
Yeah.
But then I watch the other players. Not one player in particular is he's not that player's not involved from the get go of it.
Well,
I don't
unless there's like ass whooping.
Yeah.
So,
I don't watch that, but
He's very
it's
OSR.
the other two players I watch,
Okay.
and I can see one of them. Like if one of them starts to get their phone out,
Yeah.
At that point, okay, now it's time to wrap it.
Okay.
But when there are times when
it's like the Oscar music for you.
yeah, but there's also times when the other players, they're just staring intently watching this. I'm like, okay, no, this is good.
So if they're entertained.
And I think there's two ways to.
Are you not
approach that.
entertained?
Yeah. The first way is the way you're talking about, and it's basically just go until people look like they're done. The second way, I always think about it kind of like a TV show or a play or whatever in scenes. Like you kind of have to feel out, or rather, I guess a more apt description would be like editing. Like you have all the raw footage. The raw footage is playing as that's the game.
Yeah.
But then whenever you feel that the scene has come to a close or reached a conclusion, then you cut.
Right.
That's a good point because a lot of times players eventually will get stuck in a rut because
and then it makes the rest of the scene feel bad
because a lot of times, especially if you're in an antagonistic relationship and you're not a good GM who lets players mind control people with skill rolls. I am a horrible monster who doesn't allow that. So I'm not fucking bitter about that. So. If you're not doing that, then you kind of have to players no one wants to give ground, and eventually you have to come in as GM and be like, do this or do that.
That's another really good point. Like whenever relationships are more than just positive, like they're negative a lot of the time too. Even if they are,
they should go back and forth. They
exactly.
There are like red markets in particular encourages on a weird level player bickering.
Yeah.
But there's one scene where, like, for example, we'll just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, if you invest in red markets, you'll hear this.
Right. Well, and it'll eventually go on the actual.
But there was a scene where it was like in the first session, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Tom's character, McReady.
Well, we'll get into the details in the anecdote section.
Oh, okay, wait. I was just saying, there was a time when Caleb himself was a player, and he just went, "Scene, we're done."
Yeah,
and it worked. And I was still GM,
exactly.
and I was like,
we went forward afterwards a little bit, but if we called scene there, it would have been like amazingly perfect.
Yeah.
But
anyways, you were saying.
But yeah, no, it's the way seeing it that way. Okay, rather, I see it that way because it's I'm primarily doing it for like an audience.
Yeah.
Were it not for an audience, then I wouldn't think of it like, okay, scene.
Yeah.
But I think it's helpful to think about it like a TV show, and I keep bringing it back to screen time.
Yeah.
But
well, it can also mean the GM screen.
Well, I mean, I agree 100%.
Like screen time is actually it works both ways.
I was going to say the microphone changes everything.
Yeah.
For a game.
Oh yeah,
everything.
Going back to the relationships can be antagonistic. Something I had on that is even a romantic relationship or a positive relationship between two characters will be more than just positive. It will have to be negative. It will have to be.
They'll squabble.
Exactly, they'll squabble. And you have to trust in your players to do that accurately without trying to win, quote unquote, every squabble.
Right. I mean, it depends on how well you know the players, because I know there are some players who do not like to lose.
Well, right.
Ever.
Game versus narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Right. Well, and it should always be narrative, I think.
Well, yeah. I'm going to agree with you on that.
Yeah. I like the story. I like seeing a good story be told.
Yeah.
Anything, a character in any story that just never ever loses is boring. It's
not
shit.
Right. Well, that's the thing. For some players, that's the only type they'll accept.
Right. Some players don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're playing the game, not the narrative.
Yeah.
And
rather, they are playing the narrative, but in their narrative,
luckily, I played in the New World, and I got used to losing. I've never rolled worse in my life than
you still won the battles.
I was just going to say, some players don't like to lose to the point where they will game everything. They will try to make everything to their advantage. They will actually physically cover their dice rolls, that kind of thing. It happens, okay? It does happen.
Yeah.
And it creates a bit of a conflict, actually, between the player and the GM, which affects the other players.
Yeah.
The GM suddenly feels like they have to be adversarial, but they can't target that one player. That's just kind of fucked up. So it does happen, and you have to figure out how to deal with that.
Yeah, that's more a player GM.
Yeah, that is a player GM, and we have addressed this before in the past. But in brief, no, it's fine. I mean, like, it's always worth going over again because, like, Faust, you may have a different approach to dealing with that kind of thing. I mean, one thing you're doing online, so I don't know if that's better or worse in that respect.
No, well, and I'm not the GM for the main series that I'm on.
Yeah.
I am a player.
Well, how do they do dice rolling? Is it the honor system or is it like...
It's the honor system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the honor system. And we've been playing together for a long, long time. And we are all on the same page of we want the story to be good, not the game.
Yeah.
Like it's a very character-focused story. Like it is... I'd say it's definitely more of a like series than a tabletop game. Like it's definitely... That's how we cut it. That's how we display it, and that's how we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like rather than a tabletop game, we talk about it like a TV show or something.
Yeah,
right.
And it's something. Bringing it back to the relationships, it's an incredibly long running session or like campaign.
Yeah,
and it focuses on the same characters like throughout all of it. And that's something that I'm not sure how to deal with. Whenever you have a very long-running campaign, how would you
closure?
Yeah, how would you do a relationship? Because people change, relationships change, and you can't exactly like if you form a relationship with some of the main cast and then that relationship ends, that would then influence their ended relationship into eternity.
So you're kind of like dealing with the cinematic or the story-based storytelling versus realism.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the difference between a story and real life is that, stories end, like real life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, if you're doing a role-playing game campaign of an indeterminate, like, every other narrative form has, like, a fixed length.
Well, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Resolution
So,
is
like,
something invented by authors.
You're kind of an innovator.
Real life's not like that.
Whoa.
You're on the cutting edge of narrative.
I don't want to be here. It's scary.
Yes.
So yeah, with RPPR, like, I mean, we tend to do really comparatively short campaigns.
Yeah.
Like 6 months. Like our longest one was 2.5 years, and that was the New World, which was 46 episodes.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, yeah. But it sounds like you've already eclipsed that.
We've been going for like 2 years.
Yeah. So more than 46 sessions worth. So.
About like, yeah.
So we kind of, and I had a campaign structure beginning, middle, and end, and I'm a very much like a plot focused guy. Like, I will pay attention to subplots and try to work them in, but this is a thing that is happening. How do you react to it?
Also, be careful when you do a clever voice, because we'll make you do it forever.
Yeah.
Gee, Ross, it's like you have a degree in this.
Yeah. Degree in railroading, more like no.
That's not even
Call me the conductor, motherfuckers.
toot.
Yeah. So for me, like, it was my whole idea. What I was interested in as the GM is like, here's this event that is happening. Here are these series of events that are happening.
Yeah.
It is history being made in front of your eyes. How do you react? How do you shape it?
Exactly.
And so, like, for me, it didn't matter who, because I don't ascribe to like the great man theory of history in a sense. Like, I don't believe like if there wasn't Hitler, there would have been someone else like him. You know, like there are shapes and forces in history that are
there were a lot of people involved.
So there were some things the players could change, and there were some things that, like a certain war was going to happen. This was going to happen.
Right.
So like, how do you avoid being swept along the tides? And so like for me, I wasn't really, and this is something I'm probably growing more into, is like more character focused, because like it's more like this. This is an event that's I'm less about simulating this grand event and more about like
seeing how it happens,
how a person is shaped by this crucible.
Okay, yeah.
So, like Red Markets, like I kind of made choices that were like I threw out these plot hooks, like certain jobs that you did that you could have
or didn't do,
do, and then like they affected the game world. But like your character's like, all right, well that's happening in the background,
exactly. And I really like that.
To be honest, there were also aspects of the campaign where it was not the actual plot hook. I mean, it wasn't the actual like campaign like specific scenario hook, but there were little side things that had to be dealt with that really did shape the campaign. So
well, I mean,
spoiler.
Yeah.
Cuddy did commit a cold-blooded murder on somebody's account.
Yeah.
That was not planned. That just happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that was and that was covering your ass. But I'm thinking, like, even back in the first game session, like in my older way, school of game master, like, you went to this place, you did a score, and there was like a really fucked up blight related thing, and you're like, you didn't know what it was, and so like, you could have done a whole plot campaign based on this, like dealing with the ramifications of this event. But like, you kind of like, no, let's just get rid of it. And then like, I didn't have anybody follow up on it. Like, I didn't have people chasing.
Right, you didn't force
for the
it back
record,
to us.
I would have loved to follow up on that.
Shut up, Cuddy. But
it would have been wonderful.
Yeah.
Shut up.
But
Cuddy.
on the other hand, no, that got shut down.
Yeah.
So it was like,
But I could have had that happen regardless.
it became a side.
But I could have had that same type of event happen at other jobs.
And by the way,
or it came back. But yeah.
It would have been
coming
gorgeous.
back to that, like coming back to the way you run your campaigns, and also Caleb, and I think those are the only RPPR GMs I've played with
So far.
But so far, yes, so far. But I both know that you're going to have a definitive end to the campaign. Like, while I don't know what you're going to do, I know that you're going to like. There is an established end point somewhere over the horizon.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I'm not necessarily afraid to just try and jump into something with one of the other players.
Yeah.
Like, I'll bat something at them, and if they play ball, then I'll field a relationship or something.
Yeah.
And I only do that because I know there will be an end, and I don't have to figure out how that's going to play out ad infinitum. Like, it's
You can take more risks.
yeah, you can take a risk because there will be an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you could, I mean, it's like a TV show where like you have two characters and like, will they or won't they fall in love?
Yeah.
And then like, if the show suddenly get like they think the series is being canceled, okay, let's have them kiss, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, it's been renewed. Like,
all romantic comedy should be called trying
So
to fuck.
I was going to say, as opposed to X-Files, where Mulder, Scully, will they, won't they? Oh, really? Might they? Won't they? Might they? Won't they? Might they?
Yeah,
Won't they?
and
Might.
but that's a dynamic that can work at infinitum. But like once they get together, that's like, holy shit.
But if you have a definite end,
I don't know if it can work ad infinitum, actually. I think that it can work for a long time, certainly, but after a certain point,
Let's be like, okay, do
there
you kiss her or
needs
not?
to be a resolution.
Right.
There
So
needs to be like, we aren't or we are, or
Well, that was the old way of doing things, I think,
Again,
in television.
But again,
Right.
with X-Files,
Yeah.
it's the fact
X-Files
that
was
they like, it's a fantastic example, I believe.
Yeah.
They dragged it out for too fucking long, and it became a minus to the show, to the point where eventually they pulled the main characters from the show. No, they did.
Yeah,
no, they did.
I'm saying,
They had the T-1000 and someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And it was bullshit. Okay, fine. I'm gonna just
Well, whatever that actor's name. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I know you
Robert
listen.
Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
No.
Fuck no.
T-1000.
I know Robert Patrick
I'm
clearly
down.
listens to the podcast.
I'm saying,
sorry.
like, okay, no.
Please send
He's
me an
a
autograph.
great actor. He
That'd be
actually
interesting.
made Double Dragon for me. Okay,
Yeah.
so, but that's bullshit. You can't do that. The actors involved are not to blame. It's the writers.
No, it's the
And
writers,
they
the producers,
can do
etc.,
stuff.
and the investors.
Yeah, it's lazy writing after a fact. Like, we're gonna make them. Aren't they? For how many fucking 6 or 7 seasons, and that's bullshit.
I mean, but your issue is actually really interesting to me because even the New World, I had an end in mind, like from level 1, because like the whole point of the campaign for me was doing
For the character or for this campaign?
for the campaign.
Okay.
The campaign was always do a level 1 to 30, like all of 4E, like do it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Section
And
1
then-
is 1 to 10.
And so, like, I started laying out
2s.
plot hooks for the end at the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
here's this. Obviously, I do the totally original idea of
you
prophecy.
have an end game.
The apocalypse is coming. You know?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
The end
and-
game should matter.
and it was a Lovecraftian type horror.
it was
Imagine that
Thrasidon, who is an established D&D god who's based on the Cthulhu mythos. But shut up.
Imagine that.
He's
Well, okay,
yeah.
Ross, come on. You did give us Pontifex.
You did give, I did give you Pontifex. He was a lich.
Nice.
So,
But yeah, I think that game was like I kind of loved. I think I loved our relationship all with the players between us.
yeah, and I let that happen. I didn't I didn't really invest in terms of giving players more screen times. I didn't really encourage the players to do it. I didn't discourage them
but
either.
some naturally did.
It just naturally happened because
Like,
the players enjoyed it.
I
And
love
yeah.
Voshik's just okay. Like I'm really trying to get along with these people, and it's really hard.
yeah, you're a
But
paladin.
it wasn't
no
me
one-
doing it.
yeah.
It was actually me in character doing
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
It's like these are my teammates, but damn it, guys.
Yeah.
I think part of the issue is
Yeah.
that Ross brought up. if your campaign does not have an end game, if you don't have an end in sight, this, by the way, got brought up in World of Darkness. What the heck?
Yeah.
If you don't have a fucking end game, fuck off.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. So that seems to be your problem right now, right?
Well, one of them actually.
Okay.
I wanted to comment really quick on. You said you let the players do it. You let the players establish their relationships. And
Once they showed an interest, once they started the ball across each other.
Exactly.
Like again, Vashik versus everyone, because everyone was like, oh, let's make deals.
Let's murder!
Yeah. No. Oh, you're an evil monster? We can negotiate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a good guy? Well, fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I was thinking about as far as relationships with players go. It's up to them.
Yeah.
Like, they need to decide and need to have the...
Yeah.
Well, I guess they need to decide and have the skill to act out this relationship while also not putting anything else by the wayside.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be like, okay, I'm going to establish a relationship between me, another character, and continue pursuing the plot.
Yeah.
And that's not the GM's job. It's up to the player to figure out how to do that.
No, that's a really good point. The GM should never try and you two kiss now.
Right. Yeah.
No, but
they're not your G.I. Joe and Barbie dolls.
I think part of that.
Oh, please, Ross, He-Man and G.I. Joe dolls.
But anyhow, I think part of the important part of that is that players have to be willing to work together and actually plan this out outside of the game.
She-Ra and Destro
when you
meant
walk
for
into
each
the game,
other.
you should say, "Hey, we should have this interaction." So, for example, going back to
Skeletor and the Baroness, am I right?
Whatever. So, going back to the whole issue of David and I interacting with me stealing his DVD player and us actually having a full-on interaction, a full scene based out of this. It wasn't just him saying, "Put that the fuck back." It actually turned into how we're going to plot our future horrible interactions.
Like in playing, this has happened lots of times.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea was that I've got a character design, he has a character design, we figure out how we interact, and it comes up over and over and over in the games.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, we did this one thing.
Yeah.
So. It should have, I think, a good PC relationship should have, like PC versus and PC relationship.
There you go.
Should have positive and negative elements.
Yeah,
like it
absolutely.
should. There should be a good element to it. It should not be entirely negative, in which case it's abusive or exploitive. And it can't be positive because what the fuck is that in human nature?
Exactly.
No one is.
That's actually an interesting point. I think it can be entirely negative, but it shouldn't be entirely positive because that's boring. Nobody wants to see that.
The thing is, it's a toxic relationship if it's 100%
exactly, but that's still entertaining to watch.
Let's coin a term. Let's coin a term here.
In certain ways.
I'm going to coin a term. There's PvP, where you're against each other.
It's a new term. I've never...
Really? Yeah. No. The actual term I want to coin is P plus P.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
Now there's the new term.
It's not going to catch on. Fuck it.
That's PCP, man.
Wait.
Whoa!
Tom, no. Please, Tom.
Yeah. Player con player?
Yeah.
But the idea is like the players working together. Wow, what a concept. The idea of actually working together. The idea of teamwork. What the fuck?
Well, no,
I don't know what that is.
That can be rarer than one thinks.
But the idea is the players build off each other. They don't just they're not just working as a team. They're actually building each other's narrative together.
Well, that's not necessarily improv.
It's not new. It's not a new concept.
And I can see that's happening, I think, in the After the Bomb game.
Right.
Because it's not just...
it's mostly me and David. But
no, it's some of the other players, too. And like some, they don't want to do a lot because one player doesn't have a whole lot of experience in this type of game. And the other doesn't, I don't think, is quite as naturally extroverted as David is.
He's OSR.
But I think, but they're coming along.
Yeah.
I think.
Nice. I've actually got a question.
Okay.
How does your and David's character's relationship influence how you interact with the other characters? Or is it in a closed
does actually,
world?
because part of it is the fact that, most of the players, all right, the entire concept is that our characters are essentially the Bluths.
Right.
We're bad people.
Okay.
Unfortunately, only 2 of us are on board. Everybody else is trying to, but I'm not totally a bad person, which makes them worse.
Oh yeah.
So you've got the adopted brother who's a total drunk and he'll fuck anything. You've got
and who does constantly.
You've got the evil badass bodyguard, and you've got a guy who's essentially Bones McCoy. Okay. Literally, I mean that's the concept.
That's the character.
Meanwhile, David and I are like, no, we're bad people. David's character's a thief. Mine is a disgraced socialite who happens to specialize in computer programming. And yeah, I play up a lot of like horrible issues of depression, and it's kind of, I'm like playing way past the depth of the game.
If I may say so myself.
I'm being honest. I mean, the character's like, oh, here's these deep issues of chronic depression and rage.
Sure.
And everybody else is like, I'm going to go off and murder people. Wee! It's like different levels.
Yeah.
And then the character's like plotting everything. So I'm playing this evil schemer, essentially. I'm playing Moriarty. But my character moves in with David's character. He has this weird, I want to take care of my sister relationship. So
Does that put him at odds with other players?
Yeah,
kind
the
of
other
does.
characters,
He's like he wants to have fun. He wants to party, but his chronically depressed, angry sister who's just been dumped off from the social calendar because the entire family's been disgraced.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot
You
of
mentioned it before.
Yeah.
yeah. Has been she just moved in and is sleeping on his couch.
Okay.
So
how does that deal with the other player characters?
the other player characters are the way that this relationship affects the other player characters is that unfortunately a lot of them,
Well, how do they interact with you?
they tend to avoid it. Actually,
Okay. They tend to avoid
I'm
your-
going to be honest.
So it's maybe a group thing.
It
or-
becomes more of a group thing but again, the two player characters are getting this great bond going off. The guy who's playing the Bones McCoy guy is trying to fix my character
Okay.
and trying to.
Is it because he sees that relationship as
he's
dysfunctional?
being the moral compass of the group?
Okay.
Which sadly is a failed effort. To be honest. But then you got the other guys. This guy who's playing the I party a lot and do my thing, and he's off doing his own thing. And you have
Which is fine. Like he's like, yeah, like he doesn't need to be part of that.
5 minutes of talking about elephant cum. Anyhow,
Jeez.
I'm sorry I had to say it.
We'll put a
I,
content warning on the.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I've raged about that. We'll probably have content
That
warning in
sounds-
the actual episode.
Yeah.
It was worse than Freddy Got Fingered. So, but then the guy who's playing this uber badass assassin is. I've been roping him in as much as I can to the point of, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like rope him into the rest of the group.
Well, I think it's just I just don't think he's.
Well, I think the issues are not like. I think they're more basic and more like player different types of fun.
It's level.
different
It's
expectations.
a types of fun thing.
Yeah.
Again,
and that's
that's another episode. But yeah,
that's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
episode.
That's-
Again, you decided to drag us into this. Thanks, Ross. But no, the whole issue is, I mean, David and I are playing like fantastically off each other with
right.
Yeah. Great job there, Tom.
I got it in there.
with trying to play off each other, and some of the other players will play into it.
Right.
They wouldn't initiate it though.
See, okay, that's actually an interesting
we
topic.
drag them in.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting topic. A relationship between two players doesn't necessarily include only those two players.
Right.
You have to, the other players sort of have to be in on it too.
So we're in a Zeppelin.
I mean, you could get eventually like have it like a Civil War thing. Are you team player A or team player
right,
B?
which is one of the reasons.
So-
And that's kind of
personally-
something that almost happened in Red Market.
It did. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Faust,
what
we
I was
did- we-
alluding to.
Faust, we did try.
Yeah.
But no, for
So-
this campaign, it's one of the reasons I personally. By the way, I'll just go out on a limb here and say odd number of players is best.
Okay.
You have a swing vote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
really,
fair.
to be honest.
Swing vote is good.
I've been in a situation
Worked
where I
out
ran a game.
great for Caleb.
Yeah. I've been in a situation where I ran with even players and there was a conflict and it did not resolve well. So, but with Tom's campaign,
Yeah.
we've been dead air.
Yeah.
God damn it. No dead air.
Very suspenseful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
And he's wildly gesticulating too.
It's
true.
Okay, please.
All right, so one of the issues is a lot of it is it's actually can be brought up for later episode probably.
Yeah.
Is that David and I are like plot wise, story wise, dominating the campaign, which I try not to. I'm like physically.
It's not by design.
Well,
no.
I'm
you're
dragging
more-
other players in.
I think it's more of a basic group thing because one, these are newer players too.
Yeah.
You, David, and Tom have been knowing each other for years,
Right,
now.
and that's one of the reasons
And the
David
other
and I
players
can play
aren't.
off each other fantastically
And so-
in any game.
Yeah.
The issue is we've got these newer players who don't know how to play off of us.
Right.
And that is an issue.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to I'm like literally trying to drag other players players every opportunity I can.
Yeah.
And
As
sometimes
GM,
they're-
I'm trying to offer opportunities for everybody too.
I think players develop expectations after running a particular type of game,
Right.
And if they're used to like a GM who railroads them and tells them this is fight A, this is fight B, this is going to be our night, and then that was different. That's what they get used to. They're like, all right, what do we do? It's almost like a board game to them. Or if they're like, if they have a very adversarial GM who kills them if they ever try and do anything like a sane person would, like, oh, you didn't shoot that cop, so you don't have a gun, so the zombies eat you. You were clearly stupid.
Right.
Like Tomb of Horrors type bullshit. Then they become like, I can't take a chance. Oh, the GM's go, oh, if I do this, the GM's, if I say I have a dependent, they'll just use it against me.
The GM will kill you.
No weakness.
Yeah,
But
no
I'm saying,
weakness.
like, so in this campaign, one of the issues is we're trying to drag the other players into the narrative because we've got a strong player who's not...
the narrative, that's where you get killed. That's how they get you.
we have a player who wants to play his character, but he doesn't want to play with the group, if that makes any sense.
I can understand that.
Right. And we've also got a player who wants to play with the group, but hasn't developed a strong
that's another thing.
character.
Like, I am the best player. I want to be in the limelight.
That classic. Okay, here's a weird side.
I'm more interested in everyone else.
If old school role player is a thing, the 80s, 90s. I want to see a chick sacrificed on a temple thing.
No.
Them
chainmail bikinis.
Right. Yeah. If
Hack and
that's a
slash.
thing, is 90s edgelord also still a thing? I mean, think about all the.
Yeah, have you seen the perfect example of it in
People
recent
still play
media?
old World of Darkness.
Right.
Well,
it's being funded. No.
Yeah.
Changeling the Dreaming got Kickstarter. It passed the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, it did.
Fancy points for
Great.
Fancy points.
Great.
Yeah.
You
They got
earned finality,
They got
motherfucker.
so much glamour from that.
Anyhow, but the point is, I mean, that 90s edgelord, I'm the last of my kind.
Yeah.
And yet I'm angry and I have to kill people, but I regret it.
I mean,
but I don't.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like that's such a cliche, a trope now in most adventure, fantasy, sci-fi narratives that like most players who are not like. I've spent wasting years of my life becoming a writer and developing some sense of narrative creation. Instead, I'm just going to rip off The Crow,
Right, no,
because they can't create an interesting nuance.
That whole
Yeah.
I think I'm the crow style of playing, which is a style of playing that
It is.
exists. It happens.
Yeah.
That 90s edgelord play where I'm a badass and I murder people, but it's okay because
It's not very conducive to player relationships. is
No,
what
it's
you're
not.
getting
It's
at.
very
Yeah.
loner. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
There's actually, and I think a lot of players who do it are actually, I think, because anime and manga are so popular now. Manga heroes are so fucking bad about this.
Actually,
It's
I'm
like,
gonna say,
fuck
it's-
you. I hate friends.
Actually, I'm going to be honest.
That's
it's
such
very,
a trope now.
I'm going to throw a term out there.
Yeah.
Ready? It's very chunibyo.
Yeah, I was shonen.
If
but
you know
yeah.
that one,
I do.
power to you.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
very,
don't want it.
it's that fits, right? It's very
It is.
Chunibyo.
Yeah.
The power
it's
of
based-
darkness is in my right hand and it must stay sealed forever.
Right.
That's what it means.
It's it's melodrama.
Yeah.
And but it's a very concept trope that like the whole point of a standard sort of manga adventure is like there's the main character who's a brash teenager or young adult who has special powers,
But he doesn't realize
And
it at first.
He doesn't realize it, but then he realizes and thinks he can take on everything, and he gets his ass kicked, and then he has to train up. But then he like realizes the power of friendship. In some of them, like,
Oh yeah,
and then so like this is like Berserk 3,000 pages later.
no. Okay, no. For the record, Berserk does not care about the fucking power of friendship. If you read Berserk, fuck friendship.
No, like they're on a boat and he has friends now.
That ain't fucking friendship. That's
It
you're
is.
convenient. Anyhow, but no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The point is,
Let's
a lot of
argue
these
about
players
Berserk
will
for 3
pull the first half
Yeah.
where you're like, I'm dark and special and different. I'm a special, different black.
And they're trying to get more
snowflake."
screen time.
And then they don't realize
They
the
think
power
they
of
don't. They don't realize this is these RPGs by their very nature have to be an ensemble.
Right.
cast.
Exactly,
They're putting
yeah.
the I in team, and that's a real fucking problem.
So, well, going back to your campaign, like,
sorry.
well, I just want to see it like
Yeah.
in terms. It doesn't sound like you have those kind of basic problems in terms
Oh,
of
God, no.
like broken characters, but like it does sound like we do for RPPR. Every single campaign has a beginning,
Yeah.
middle, and so you guys don't have an explicit ending. So
No.
it's just like we're having adventures and
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's a longer running series, and while I would like to, I'd like to explore a relationship with other characters. I don't know how to tackle it
You don't
elegantly.
want to change the status quo because you don't know how.
Yeah, not yet at least.
Because it could wreck the narrative.
It could drastically affect the narrative.
If you if two of your characters fall in love, or if they decide to become bros, and then there's a falling out.
Yeah.
And then like, well, we got to.
Yeah. Like, especially with
300 episodes later, got to introduce a new PC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't really know how to approach a relationship in in a series of indeterminate length.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that convenient cutoff point or like the conclusion. There's no it would exacerbate the problem of not getting into a relationship.
Yeah.
Because even if the characters display mutual attraction, where was I going with that? Even if you have a problem like Mulder and Scully, where it's like, do they, will they, won't they?
And eventually they answer that. But.
Yeah, and then they answer that, and then after they answer that in a series of indeterminate length, it continues being the answer.
Yeah.
Forever.
As opposed to cutting off.
Well,
it never happened, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that you're trying to do a narrative where you only have an act 1 and 2, and you can't continue on, and you just, I don't know if you kind of, and it's more, I mean, maybe think of it more of like, it's kind of like long-standing comic book characters like Batman and Superman and things like that. Because
don't you compare us to DC? You take that back.
Okay, or X-Men or the Avengers, because these are comic book characters.
Don't you compare me to Aaron?
DC.
Yeah.
Aaron.
I hate DC so much.
Okay. Wow. All right.
That's hard. Okay, those are harsh words.
They are. I mean, I like some DC comics.
All right.
Not all the time. But anyway, the thing is that Batman isn't a character. He's a genre. He's a subgenre of superhero comics. They're told in a particular way, and the framing device is Batman.
The characters in Batman are the villains.
Huh?
The characters in Batman are the villains.
Well,
Actually,
no,
yes.
not just the villains, but the Bat family. Alfred, Commissioner Gordon.
I'm going to be honest. No, I
and
fully
Robin.
agree with Faust on this one. To be honest, no, the villains are the actual characters.
Yeah,
Batman is.
They're not the only actual characters. They are actual characters.
Faust has a point when he says that Batman is Godzilla.
What?
He's a force of nature that is not really a character.
But but the idea with Batman is that they don't keep it exactly static because obviously no one will buy it. So what they do, I think, is they come up with these story arcs. So maybe don't think of it as you're not going to end this particular, but think let's do an arc where we change up things, and then we get to a new status quo.
Yeah.
So let's have a villain break your spine. And just as an original example, has nothing to do with anything. So,
just off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Feel free to use that.
Yeah.
So, and then you could do a story arc about how your character gets his legs back. And then gets revenge.
Yeah.
And then how your teammates help you, or you all get cursed and you have to find a way to deal with that curse.
Right.
So maybe talk with your people, since you guys seem to do a lot of planning, figure out let's do a game or a story. Let's just focus on an individual story arc where here's how the status quo changes, and then it will lead to a new status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, see, because that's
I mean, that's maybe, is that kind of what you're doing?
Similar to how we structure things, because we have arcs.
Yeah.
We have we'll start an adventure and then finish an adventure.
Sure.
And we sort of have a base of operations that we always come back to, the status quo.
Yeah. Batcave, maybe.
Yeah, we have a Batcave kind of thing.
That's an original idea. Feel free to use it.
Yeah. No, I have. Yeah, I've never heard of bats in the cave. Anyway, but no, yeah, it is very much structured like arcs. Sometimes they're standalone. Sometimes they're presented as not being related to the series in a greater whole, but still in the same series. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a Star Trek kind of thing, where it's you watch one episode and then the next episode doesn't necessarily have to follow the one before it.
Yeah. But even on there, in between seasons, they'll an actor got changed.
Exactly.
Or, this guy is now a cyborg, or you know,
or lore is back.
Yeah,
stuff like that. But yeah, that said, I still think it's difficult, especially when it comes to relationships, to treat it as something as simple as a status quo. Because if you don't, say you have a relationship between two characters in one arc, and then it falls apart, and that's the status quo for the next relationship, or for the next arc, you have to roleplay that until either it gets patched up or it...
Well, one story arc could lead to another one. So, you and character A and character B have a falling out.
Yeah.
And then you do a story arc where you're all I hate you. I hate you. Oh fuck, we still have to work together. Well,
Yeah.
shit.
Well,
and then
yeah.
and then you're like, well, wait, we need to resolve this. All right, well, let's go on a vision quest and like. All right, and then like
eat the peyote and go to the desert.
it's or a friendship quest. Oh yeah, those exist. All right, yeah,
Friendship quest.
Let's go kill the friendship.
PG-13.
No, we go on the friendship. We kill all the friends, and that's the quest. So
All right, yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's an original
it
idea.
kind of comes
Who
down
uses
to
it?
kind of comes
I'm
down
pretty
to the
sure
issue
that was
of
on Batman.
reality versus narrative reality. I mean,
Yeah.
In reality, relationships do not end cleanly. It's not easy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been in some games where two of the actual players had a falling out.
Yeah.
Which completely altered
that-
in-game
right,
PC
certainly.
dynamic.
So actual
Influence it.
personal relationships are not clean like that.
No.
The idea of resolution is it's an invented concept.
No, exactly.
And
but
so when you're trying to
unfortunately, invented though it may be, if you're making something for like viewing pleasure, there needs to be resolution.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you've got this issue of where, that grognardy relation, thing about role players,
Yeah.
where they're like, no, it can only shoot 200 meters. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Sorry. But, I mean, that actually comes into...
Nuclear
people's-
warheads have a blast radius of 50 feet.
Right. That attitude comes into sanity and relationships. And no, you're going to take sanity damage because you're seeing somebody being helpless. Motherfucker, my character tortures people for a living. I see somebody helpless, I probably get a boner.
Shut up, Cuddy.
That was not Cuddy. That was somebody else.
That was your cartel guy.
Yes. So I'm like,
Shut up, Santa.
it was.
He wasn't Santa.
Klaus.
right?
It was Klaus.
Klaus.
It was
Okay.
like Klaus.
Yeah.
You take humanity
There were
damage
two
for.
ruthless cartel attacks.
Yes.
Oh.
You take humanity damage for for seeing somebody helpless. I'm like, motherfucker, what? No, I'm fine. No, fine, I'll roll. Okay, but I'm saying that's an issue of you're looking for verisimilitude, but at the same time you're looking for actual plot.
Yeah, I mean,
construction.
you're kind of in a unique situation. And well, I mean, I do know a lot of campaigns are just kind of like, let's meet every week and play a game. And
Yeah.
like,
Right,
They
yeah.
just go on. In fact, a lot of the early role-playing campaigns were basically like, I've read like written descriptions, newsletters. They'd be like, all right, this week they went to this hex and like found this castle, killed some vampires.
Yeah.
Sir Blue, the badass, got eaten by purple
Yeah.
worm. But, we resurrected him.
Yeah.
I could not do that type of campaign anymore. I just don't think I could.
I mean, that's kind of an interesting because it's actually kind of like old historical novels or like written accounts of explorers. Like, this we found this thing, we found this island. These
Neat.
people were friendly. Oh, he got cholera.
These guys tried to eat us, though.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
That's weird.
got scurvy again.
I mean, yeah. So
Not the Fiji Islands. There's actual cannibals there.
there's the travelogue approach as opposed
Spoiler
to the we're actually trying to tell a full story here. Every character gets an arc.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't say this is a PC versus PC relationship. It's more of like a narrative, a campaign frame.
Yeah.
It's sort of like,
I think they're
what do you
kind
want to
of
do with this campaign overall?
interwoven.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, there are solutions depending
Yeah.
on but until you know what your endpoint is, or like,
Yeah.
if you don't want to have an endpoint, I would just keep changing the status quo.
Yeah.
Like, I would do narrative arcs like, what happens if we are enemies? What happens if we fall in love? What if we are, maybe like friendly rivalries? Like, what if we're competing for the same thing?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, a lot of times, again, I think it's partially
Yeah.
because we're, playing in front of a microphone. We do probably feel compelled to dig a little bit deeper.
I honestly, for me, I don't even notice it anymore. So it
I'm
literally
sorry.
doesn't hurt. So thank you for bringing that up.
I'm sorry. I jumped in recently. The first thing I did was the God's Teeth, and I'm sitting there staring.
You jumped in the deep
whole
end.
fucking time. I'm staring at the microphone, like freaked out.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
sorry.
you did fine. And it's
I'm
just-
sorry if I sound freaked out when I'm doing it, but yeah, it's I'm like, I have no idea. I have to justify everything. Oh fuck.
Yeah. No, it's
and I've gotten more adjusted to it as it goes on. I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. I understand it. But the issue is also, like, for example, with Tom's games, I'm sitting there and I'm pulling the role of going, put everything in a bowl. We don't want to hear crunching.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I've listened to the podcast. It's terrible. When you're sitting there and like
Sounds of Life. What are you talking
yeah, you're
about?
sitting like going like, okay, they're telling a story. And
But getting back to player relationships.
part of the issue is when you can hear people just not connecting as players.
Yeah.
When the group is not coming together and somebody's like striking off on their own and doing their own thing, and like they run off and get the whole group killed. It happens.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, it can cause strain in future.
Well, I can actually.
I mean, again, it handles. Can you beat this person in a video game and they're not going to get mad or not stop playing?
Right? Yeah. I mean,
or Monopoly
what
or
can actually
Risk.
happen to groups that have played a long time? I mean,
Yeah.
remember Aaron and Cepheus?
Vaguely.
He constantly didn't want to work with your group because he was a lawful good character, and
Right.
you guys were not.
I worship Cthulhu.
You weren't very good at it.
I was a terrible Cthulhu worshiper. I didn't read I never read the Necronomicon.
But he would go. He would go off
was
on
a
his
bard.
own. He would go off on his own a lot.
But to be fair,
Yeah.
Aaron running off on his own did give us
that's
that
Aaron.
beautiful shark stabbing poster I'm staring at right now.
which in a different game, but yeah. Again, some players they are more committed to being a static. Like this is their playstyle. They're just going to do it.
Right. This is me.
yeah.
I don't care about the group.
And some players do change over time. Aaron has gotten a lot better about being like.
No, he's wonderful about it. Even though he
less
got
of
me
a-
killed in a Red
Yeah.
Markets one shot.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Spoiler
I'm going to
alert.
give him shit for that forever.
So, yeah, it's stuff to think about. I think I don't know. Any final thoughts before we move on to anecdotes?
I don't know. I feel like I still haven't meeting the status quo. I think is the closest to a solution that I've heard. Yet.
It's not a PC versus PC relationship thing.
Yeah.
It is a campaign framing.
right, but I
which
think the PC relationships
literally
are
never
interwoven with campaign.
Yeah.
Framework.
They are. It's just for me. Like I've never thought of a campaign that I would want to run forever.
Yeah.
And so like I always have a story I want to have a beginning, middle,
Yeah.
end to. So that's just me. And you have a different problem with the podcast
Yeah.
because it's your brand.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
So I would maybe do like Thrilling Intent Next Generation. Come up
Thrilling
with
Intent, alternate universe, Thrilling Intent, Beyond.
No,
Yeah.
throwing intent.
like a second generation of characters,
like
like
next generation
like in
it
D
will
and D. What happened in those early '70s
Yeah.
and '80s games is like once the players got a certain level and it wasn't fun anymore because the D&D rule set. Every version of D&D is terrible about high level characters. This
Yeah.
is fuck you if you disagree with me. It doesn't matter if it's first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. They're fucking terrible. Like once wizards get high level spells, it's
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, the
and
long-
I've run epic level D&D campaigns.
Oh god, that fucking Illithid city.
I ran a 2-day like in real time like campaign. Like it was like 6 hours to resolve a fight.
That sounds terrible.
It was fun.
Okay, quick side note.
So-
I think what you're getting at.
But my
the next
point
generation.
is, eventually narratives do have to have an ending. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, like, the
come
one-
up with like a personal way to end it and
Yeah.
create new characters
Yeah.
and give every character like this is their story. Maybe you discover their story what it is.
Yeah.
And then like tell that story and move on to a new character. So I mean, even with Batman, like the way they work around that is one, Batman's constantly dying, being resurrected, becoming a new person.
Right.
And also they
or
tell the story of the Bat family.
Or they
Yeah.
crash the
like
universe.
Batgirl to Oracle to Batgirl to
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon's been Batman recently.
Has he? Really?
Yeah.
God damn it.
He's like in a power armor. So
Oh, of course.
yeah. I just read this on like websites, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know this stuff.
been trying to catch
But that's how they dealt.
Yeah.
Is to add, and there are just limits to what can be done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
There are
exactly.
these limitations. So I would look at those ideas. But like,
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's yeah.
okay, so one thing that actually there's one way to address this actually that came up with Knights of the Dinner Table.
Yeah.
The
what
idea
they-
of having your like protege.
Yeah, that's the next
That's
generation.
yeah,
one
yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next generation thing is really interesting. I just don't know how we implement it yet
Right.
because
Well,
there's still so much to go on a bit with these characters.
But as a side note, I mean, one of the things
We'll introduce them soon and like
Yeah.
work them in as background NPCs
Yeah.
and kind of start building them up.
as a side note, plug Red Markets.
Yeah.
There's an end game. There's a point where you say,
Well, again, he can't do that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a unique situation.
right? No, it's unique, but it's still built
Cutting
in.
edge.
It's
Yeah.
baked
So
in.
scary.
It's
Yeah.
baked in. It's really great. The idea that okay, this is where it ends. This is how you finish it. You have to build up to this.
Endpoints are nice.
Yeah.
It's great because
people like endpoints.
because don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love playing a game, but I don't think I could do a 10-year campaign personally.
Well, yours has only been 2 years.
it's only been two.
the
I'm
long-
saying
You're 20%.
there have been people who've done 10 to 20-year campaigns.
Well,
yeah.
the
and
longest,
that
the
scares
longest
them.
I
Well, those campaigns are like we went to a hex this week and we cleared it out, and then 5 years later, I'm on 8 characters.
Yeah, I can't fucking do that.
well,
I'm sorry.
like, the long,
I could see the appeal
I
of
ran
that.
I ran a 4-year campaign once.
Yeah.
The Gargoyles game, and that I actually had to reboot that a couple of times.
Well, that was also you didn't have an end game in mind, right? Or did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So that was it. So how did that wind up?
Well, the game actually finally ended with going down into hell and casting the villain.
So you
into
developed an
oblivion.
in-game.
Yeah.
So you can always tack on an in-game.
Yeah.
Like,
I think one day we will, but how far off that is, I have no idea.
you can have, like a rival to one of the heroes, and then he stabs a cleric healer in the back with a spear, and then like he like the villain maybe he has like long white hair and a really long sword,
right, like a staff.
Yeah. And
yeah.
then so this villain could become the main character,
Right.
or like the main villain.
Or
Like, once you defeat him, that's the end of the game.
Like Saruman.
Capture a wizard's castle.
Steven.
Steven.
Capture a wizard's
yeah.
castle
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take it over. Take over his whole
Original
operation.
idea, feel free to use it.
I will. Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can always tack on an in game.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
that.
if you finally decide, okay, it's time to end this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, it just requires planning.
Or
So-
come up with like a good.
But once you get that in mind, then you can start thinking about like how I want to.
Oh, yeah.
Set up these relationships.
Which relationship do I want to build up and then stamp into the dirt?
or bring up like a good sunshine
Wow.
cake kind of ending where the players just like go out, you know, guns blazing. They're gonna die.
Yeah, you could always
They know it.
sunshine Butch Cassidy and the
Yeah,
Sunshine Kid.
just go for that,
Yeah.
and then you know you're gonna die, but how do you go out?
Well, it depends on his campaign. I don't know. If
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that
It's not that dark.
Yeah.
It's darkly comedic.
How do
You're
you
not going
retire?
edgelord?
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could actually, you know what you could do is do a flash forward, like epilogue mini campaign or something.
Oh, yeah,
Like, 20 years later, all the characters have retired and they have a reunion.
Nice.
How has your
Nice
life
lives.
been? Yeah.
And then something
I own a
happens.
bakery now.
Something untoward happens, and you have to resolve it.
You know, like that latest Simon Pegg movie, At the End of the World, where
World's
like
End.
The World's End, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
So, like, the idea is like they re-meet 20 years later,
Yeah.
and like each player gets to narrate how they've been living their life separately.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, there's a new problem, we have to go resolve it. And this is
Yeah.
our last ride into the sunset.
That would work.
So there are a lot of ideas you could, and then
Oh,
you
yeah.
could always go back and like, this is before they split up, and then that kind of thing.
but
so,
if you're doing like a running narrative, I think Next Generation is actually a good way to.
I mean, I think that's the only way you're going to keep it fresh. And
Yeah.
what is eventually you have to.
Yeah.
Every character has a.
Oh, the future is
Yeah.
scary.
I mean, your characters could be immortal, but their story is not.
Right, exactly.
So, unless you want to go to
Yeah.
Hexcrawl, this
You
we have at least one character.
Yeah,
who
I love
will
it.
die.
You wrote a thing about like that the Gripply of the future describing this old.
Yeah, there's a show notes for the last episode of the New World. Like, literally, the world was destroyed and reborn, and the Gripply were in the inheritors. So they kept the memory of the player characters.
Oh, interesting.
And they became like the mythic heroes of their mythology. So
That's
Nice.
sad.
well, the players all like basically sacrificing lives.
Well, no, but
except for you.
Well, the whole group unanimously chose me to go on.
Yeah, so everyone else got erased
Because I was
yeah.
I was like the one lawful
Absorbed
good.
it.
I was the one lawful good.
Yeah, we're all dicks. We shouldn't continue on.
In fact, like, when it's like at one point where they asked like, okay, we need a leader for our community. Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
because he's actually trustworthy.
So Tom went Kansas.
No orphan blood on his hands.
Wow.
So literally, we're all covered in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at
anyway.
all this blood.
So I think Does that help?
Yeah.
I
I think that was a very good conversation. It's
Okay.
very interesting.
All right. So when we get back, we will have shout outs and anecdotes. Yeah. And we're back. So, let's
Good
see
talk,
here.
everyone. Good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk. And good vaporwave, whatever. I choose.
Yeah, that was some great vaporwave.
Yeah. I haven't picked it yet.
No, it was great. I loved it.
Ross, you did pick it, and you're lying to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just playing mind games with you guys. Shout outs. We have some. First off, I would like to mention Welcome to Night Vale, the novel, which I finally finished. It is written by the two writers of the podcast, and it's and if you like the podcast, I think you'll like the novel. It's about two women, Jackie, who runs the pawn shop and has been 19 for like decades. She just chooses not to turn 20.
Oh, cool. Good for her.
Of course.
And
Well, Night Vale.
then the man in the tan jacket with the deerskin suitcase, if you're familiar with the podcast, shows up and hands her this piece of paper that is has the word King City written on it. And the thing is, it's like cursed. Like she can't get rid of the paper. Whenever she burns it or gets rid of it, it shows up back in her hand. And she's like, "What the fuck? Curse!" You know. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on. And then the other main character is this woman Diane, who has a teenage son, who is a shapeshifter. He can turn into like anything, including inanimate objects. And she always recognizes him, regardless of form. So
she's a good mother.
She is a very good mother, single mother.
Single,
and she doesn't want her kid to meet up with his father because he left her long ago.
Right,
and
he might be something horrible.
He might be something horrible. So and basically, she has a coworker that she forgot, that everyone else forgot about, the man in the tan jacket, who apparently his name is Evan.
Spoilers!
They finally gave him a name.
Actually, it's not Evan. Or is it?
Good.
Well, it's like everything.
So
else.
the good side is it very much gets the obviously the atmosphere, the tone of Night Vale perfectly. There's also little interludes which are narrated by Cecil, like
nice.
like little interludes from the community radio station. It explores a lot of the setting, a lot of sort of the aesthetic of it. The characters are very well written, I think. Diane's relationship with her son, Josh, is really interesting and very awkward. They love each other, but he's getting older.
But he's a shapeshifter.
Yeah, well, that's not even the main thing. Like it's just like he wants to know his father, and she doesn't want
Think
to.
Night Vale.
And so it's written as a very real relationship, I think.
Yeah.
And then the problem is that like the nature of both Diane and Jackie's problems involve like them losing their memory or other people not recognizing what's going on. So like the first half of the novel was kind of a slog for me to get through because a lot of it was like, all right, this character tries to do something to figure out more information. They learn nothing. And then everyone forgets about it. And they're doing a lot of... And so it's kind of like... so it took me several tries to really get into it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, though, about at the halfway point, they start they meet up with each other, and the narrative gets a lot more interesting because Diane also the man in the tan jacket is the one who Diane's looking for, and then Jackie is the one who got the piece of paper from. So they're both looking for sort of the same information,
right?
Like, what the fuck is King City? And so what they do, they team up to go there, and they go to the library. Ooh. And that, I think, was the turning point for me. Because, the librarians are super scary. And blah, 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 blah.
Except for the
you treat them like bears.
Except for the one that tried to go out and be something else.
Well, it was still scaring people. So
that didn't work out.
It didn't work out. So basically, if you're a hardcore Night Valian, you probably already read it by now. But, if you're not, you want an absurd, surreal kind of novel. I think it's worth reading. Maybe not get it at full price. Maybe get it used or get the audiobook. I heard the audiobook is. I mean, I believe the audiobook.
I would
is
imagine the audiobook is
I've
good.
heard a lot of press for the audiobook because I listened to the podcast. I haven't read the book, obviously.
Yeah,
they push the fact that the narrator for the regular Night Vale does the audiobook.
Okay, so they have Cecil Palmer.
That's a huge selling point.
Yeah.
I mean, he reads it. Crap.
So I would give it 3 out of 5.
That's pretty good. It's all right. Yeah.
It's not like, oh my god, I must read. And again, the opening is definitely the word. Is sort of
that's bad.
Yeah, but it picks up. It has a really good resolution to it.
Okay.
So, So I don't know. Next up, Faust, you had a video game you were.
There's a game on Steam called Vagante. It's really fun. It is a 2D dungeon crawler kind of thing. You can pick a fighter or a thief or a wildling or a mage, and you dive into this randomly generated dungeon and you progress through levels and all that stuff. And it very recently, the reason I mention it is because it very recently got multiplayer. And it's fun. It's really fun.
Online or local?
Both.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, it's quite fun. Good party game. Good game to play with friends.
I'll put it on my wish list whenever it's on a Steam sale. I'll
get it on a Steam sale or something. Yeah.
Cool. Tom?
Yep. I have one. It's a TV series that Shaun turned me on to.
It's old.
Jeeves and Wooster is a British TV show with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie.
It's based off the original P.G. Wodehouse My Man Jeeves story.
Yeah.
Basically,
they roughly put everything into the 1930s instead of it starting off in the
pre-World War I is what the original story is.
But, Anyhow,
But yeah,
it's questionable. But the issue is they placed it all in the 1930s. It's a fantastic series. If you ever heard of, think of Ask Jeeves. Ask who's Jeeves?
Like the web search thing?
Yes. Who's Jeeves? Why is Jeeves so fucking intelligent?
Right.
It's because it's based off of Bertie Wooster's valet, Jeeves, who is hyper intelligent, omnicapable. He's basically fucking Moriarty working for a dude and being nice.
And Wooster's he's not totally moronic, but pretty.
Oh, he is.
Well,
He's a fucking idiot.
Okay, he's not quite Mr. Bean, but
Well, he's working on it.
Yeah, high bar there.
But no, but I'm being serious. It's actually more of a lighthearted comedy.
Sure.
It's not like, it's very dry. It's very...
it's not like Blackadder.
No, it's a dry humor. It's very light. It's very, there's not a whole lot of cussing, people dying and like that, but no.
Well, it's
a very British comedy.
It's upper class British cursing from the 30s.
It's a light, dry British comedy, and it's actually really well worth it.
It's kind of like the slow decline of the nobility in England.
Part of it is, the fact. Follow me on this.
Yeah.
World War I saw the death of so many nobles in England, right? I mean, and so part of the whole thing, I know it started before this, but it really carried through the rest of the series, was that what are we left with? All the noble people went off and died. So
now their ne'er-do-well kids are left.
Right. So it's the idiots who are in all their special little men's clubs who, steal a moose or grab the helmet off a cop's head for fun. That's who's left.
Rapscallions.
Yes,
a lot of them.
Your juvenile idiots are who's left in the ruling class.
Nice.
And Jeeves is like a brilliant problem-solving butler.
Right. He's Sherlock / Moriarty. In this setting where essentially the whole premise of every episode really comes down to a problem comes up, Bertie Wooster, the noble, tries to fix it.
Makes it worse, and then Jeeves fixes it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeeves comes along with his master plan that he's had this whole time that counted on exactly what Wooster was going to do.
Yeah.
And he comes out to personal advantage and fixes the problem as well.
Okay.
Nice.
And usually
sounds fun.
with Jeeves, you are a wonder.
That's great.
Next up, I would another narrative, but a documentary. Recently seen. This is called the Barkley Marathons. It's on Netflix right now, and the Barkley Marathons. Have you watched it yet?
Not yet. I really want to.
It is really good. It's essentially it takes place in the mountains of Tennessee. Where you do 5 20-mile loops. They're over 25. They're actually, he says 20, they're really like 25, 26 miles each. You're supposed to do 5 of these loops up and down the mountains in 60 hours. So that's like over 100 miles, like 130 miles in 60 hours. 40 people are admitted every year, one of which is someone who has no business being there. He's nicknamed the Human Sacrifice. But everyone else, there's like an entrance exam to get in. You have to like prove that you're not going to get yourself killed out there. It's only $1.60 to enter because the guy who runs it just does it out of his own
Which for
amusement.
people who run marathons, they already know that that's dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah.
By the way. It's really cheap.
Everyone knows $1.60 is cheap.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
you have to go to Tennessee, obviously, to do this.
Oh, still, I'm saying like most marathons are.
And people from all over the world come here to do this because it's like the most legendary. It's one of the hardest things. It's just on what one of the people involved with it calls on the edge of possibility for a human.
Yeah.
Like it took them 10 years before someone actually finished it.
Yeah.
A lot of years, no one is able to do it. If you do 3 loops, that's just called the fun run. But this is over the mountain, so like they have. You have to go through like sawbriar. This is done in Tennessee during the spring. Sawbriar, where there are these massive like barbed plants that will cut people's legs, and they show this like people get the fuck cut out, and you have to go up and down mountains. So like the change in elevation, if you do all 5 loops, is like the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest twice.
Jesus.
In 60 hours, and so you barely have enough time to do this. So like the people maybe get 1 hour of sleep the entire time at best,
and the refueling station.
And so there are people who do this. And this documentary is about the 2012 run, and like it goes into why he does this, and why the person set it up, and why people organize to do this. I mean, it's just
because they're all crazy.
They're basically mostly like people with graduate degrees who are very like I have won everything in my life. I've gotten straight A's. I study engineering. I know I can do no wrong. I need to put like they're the people who want to push themselves to the limit and then beyond. They're people who have never experienced failure.
As a quick side note, not everybody with a graduate degree is that motivated.
Well, no, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying like they're like the people like
these the I can't fail. I always win.
Like I study climatology and geology, and I am a rail thin person who does marathons.
I've never been slapped the fuck down in life.
Yeah. Or if they have, they just like
assholes.
Like their desire to win is just freakingly just
superhuman.
Yeah, superhuman. Like it's broken in their brain.
Yeah,
they're just mutants in some ways. So
sorry,
that's one way of doing it. So it's a really great it's a really great documentary. Definitely game fodder too. We actually talked about it this morning. Caleb and I were hiking, normal hiking, not like 60 miles.
Not Barkley Marathon.
You should have been fucking running, you jerk.
So where this could be like an unknown army saying, like, what if this is a sigil? Like if you go through these 5 mile, and like, the waypoints, they had these books set up at like different waypoints around the route. Yeah. And like they give you a number, like if it's 152. So you have to rip out page 152 in each of these 11 books to prove you've run it. Yeah. And the books are like, the idiot. There's one waypoint near a prison, and that's like the human zoo.
Yeah. So what if instead it was like the yellow sign, the Necronomicon, all that?
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's tons of game ideas in this. So definitely like unknown armies at the limit. So that's a good one. Let's see here. Did you have another one, Shaun?
I didn't have any fresh ones. I've been like digging deep back into history. I'm like catching up on Venture Brothers.
Okay, that's fine. I have two quick ones. One, I would like to talk a little bit about Feng Shui 2, which is a role playing game. I mentioned it before the podcast. Yeah, it's a really. Oh yeah, you can talk about it too.
Right. Yeah.
I recently ran it for the first time, 2 sessions worth. We have it recorded. We will put it on the podcast. But the basic idea is it is meant to emulate Hong Kong action cinema, but it's action movie role playing game.
Yeah.
It's a fun system. It takes a little getting used to. Character creation is interesting because you don't design a character. You pick an archetype and then give them a name, and that's it.
Right.
And there's 36 archetypes. So
between the character creation and the system, it's exactly what it says in the box. You are doing a Hong Kong action film.
Nice.
You're not trying to go for deep character development. You can do it, but really, you're here to kick ass and forget the names. Really. So it's actually it's straightforward. It's streamlined. It's fun. There's a lot of great pop culture references. For example, the driver has this nice white jacket.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they put a cobra instead of a scorpion, but we all know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really, really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. Whenever that gets posted, you'll hear that.
I got some of the rules on it, sir.
Who the fuck cares? It was fun. We had 7 types of fun. Damn it. No, but it doesn't. It does exactly what it promises. And for a role playing game, I think that's the best way. You don't promise deep character development and then give us massive simulationist bullshit.
Yeah, Feng Shui 2.
It does what it says. It promises what it delivers what it promises.
Right. It says exactly what it says. And it was great.
No,
I definitely want to run it some more. I have an idea of doing like they have it, and the thing is, it's not just modern day. You can do it. They have genre support for not just modern action, but also sci-fi and fantasy.
Whoa!
Right.
So like,
and it's actually narratively connected.
So yeah, they have a setting that connects it, but like, so I want to like sort of reskin all the fantasy stuff and do a Bloodborne themed Feng Shui.
Whoa!
That's coming up.
So like,
what Ross initially did was based off of.
It was based off of nothing. It would be a secret and a surprise.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll shut the fuck up.
You better.
It was modern.
Yes, it was modern.
It was modern and a little bit postmodern. And there you go.
Brutalist.
Yes, of course.
And finally, a movie I also saw that was very red markets, The Big Short, which is a recent movie about the 2008 financial crisis, about the people who saw it coming and then made a fortune off of it. There's a small group of hedge fund managers and investors who predicted the housing bubble was going to pop in 2007, and they bet heavily against it, like hundreds of millions of dollars against it. And it's about how everyone at the time told them they were wrong, they were losing, they were just gonna, how could, like one of the characters is, and this is based on real people, like Christian Bale plays this guy who is a hedge fund manager, and he's like, I have $560 million. I'm going to bet basically all of it on this. And the guy who invested in him was like, what the fuck are you doing? No one's got housing is not a bubble. I'm going to sue you, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it turned into this whole thing. And then, of course, obviously they were right at the end, but like that they meant they were right about the economy crashing.
Yeah.
So that was. So it's got great actors in it. Like I said, Christian Bale, Brad Pitt's in it, Steve Carell, and are also in it. And it's directed by Adam McKay, who also directed Anchorman. So it's got a comedic touch, but they don't skip on the drama.
Yeah.
And if you want this sort of stuff explained to you, it's and in an entertaining way. It's like a really good movie.
Is it on Netflix?
I don't know. I got a DVD from
cool.
Redbox. So
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways,
Oh, Netflix, why don't you have everything?
Right?
yeah.
Damn it.
I know it's on Amazon Video.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Did I say Redbox? I meant Amazon Video. So, yeah. Anyways, so I think that's it for shout out. So yeah, anecdotes. We should talk a little bit about Red Market's Fallen Flag, which entire campaign.
How much can we actually say, Ross?
Well,
I don't know. You kind of
here's
put
what
the
I'm talking
kibosh
about.
on me.
Oh God, jeez. What we should talk about are our player-on-player interactions, because that's been kind of this episode.
Oh, right. Like the fact that Cuddy and Amu had this weird connection.
A good one.
It was awesome.
It was a good one.
It was the fact that like Cuddy is a psychopath.
Yes.
And Amu is kind of a psychopath.
Yes.
It took you a second, and the rest of the group is trying to be like, "Oh no, we promise we're good people."
We
And
have
both-
argument, except for half.
Both Cuddy and Amu are sitting there going like,
And
"No, we know we're bad people. We're going to play with it.
Yeah.
we're gonna make excuses, but we're going to play with it."
It was mostly air.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And then everybody else in the group was like, "No, I'm a good person. I promise. And Cuddy and Amu just immediately start allying. After the leg shot, I think was really
Well, yeah.
Who shot who?
I shot Cuddy.
Okay.
it was an accident.
It was an
And
accident.
Cuddy's
It was a crit failure,
And Cuddy's
yeah.
a fucking professional, and so
Yeah,
he's
well,
like,
and that's
whatever. It's
why,
cool.
and that's
Yeah.
why I would trust Cuddy. It's because he was a professional about it.
I will
And
fucking-
when she went to like smooth it over, it wasn't necessarily for Cuddy. It was for her own peace of mind.
Right. And Cuddy was like, "It's cool, whatever. You don't have to pay me anything."
And I was like,
then-
no.
It has to happen. And then so like Cuddy gets the cochlear implant. He gets something far more worthwhile.
Well, you get something for one of his dependents.
And I'm not going to say what it is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, you listen to the campaign, and I say, Cuddy loved this shit. You should be creeped out.
Did McCready have any noticeable player-on-player
There's the
relation?
one I think it was more he had some interesting vignettes with his brother.
Yeah.
Outside of the first
we
one.
used other players role-played their dependents for these things. So
And
that
you
was-
also had the fucking Oreo thing.
The Oreo conspiracy.
Do we have to
theory.
talk? We have to talk about that, don't we?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay, so we're on one of our legs to a job, and Tom calls, "Hey, we're
that's
going
right.
to do
Yeah.
Now I remember.
We're going to do a what's the proper term?
Interlude.
We're doing an interlude, and then Tom decides to needle Cuddy, and I'm in character, so I'm like 99% committed.
Yeah.
I'm in the zone.
Actually, the thing is, I was totally in character with.
Oh, yeah.
with McCready.
Oh
at the
no,
time, too.
yeah. And you start. What was it again?
You're talking about how the crash started. And
Right,
you're
we're talking
like,
about
and
how the crash-
McCready's like, it was the Oreos.
No. It started with McCready saying it was about a guy that we elected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's be topical. There's a certain candidate that a lot of people are freaked out about, and there was an incident recently.
Vermin Supreme, he's running
Yeah,
for
I
president.
can't. I'm just
There was
so
an-
excited for
There
him.
was an incident involving Ross actually going to a store right before this.
Yeah.
And somebody like pulling Ross aside. Do you want
Yeah.
to tell that story? Have you already told it?
Oh my God! Oh,
You
you're right.
need to
I
tell
totally
this.
forgot
This
about
is the
yeah.
inspiration behind
Oh,
the Oreo
yeah.
incident.
All right, yeah. So I was at the grocery store, the Hy-Vee grocery store, and I was buying Oreos. And a guy said, "You shouldn't buy Oreos." Trump says that they steal jobs from America or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I keep the Oreos.
Yeah.
Because they're delicious.
So there's a lot of
Obviously.
people saying,
Yeah.
"No, we're going to buy Oreos despite Trump." And so when Tom and I started,
I don't buy them for politics. I buy them for bad food
But
choices.
no, but there were reactions
Yeah.
on various chat sites that basically when you told the story, they're like, "No, we're going to buy more fucking Oreos," just to spite this political candidate. And so Tom brings up the whole
jobs.
Yeah, he brings up the whole political thing, and then I have Cuddy make a joke about the Oreos.
Yeah.
How
the Oreos caused the crash.
There was a movement of people buying Oreos just to spite a political candidate who may or may not have caused the crash. We're not certain. And Tom just rocks this shit, and he runs with it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, no, the Oreos caused it.
And I'm just going to say there was like a short progression. You'll hear it when you listen to it.
This is very early on. This is like the first.
Yeah. It's in the middle, I think.
I think it's like the third session.
Yeah, third session.
I thought it was later than that. Anyhow,
no, it was pretty early on.
And Cuddy naturally escalates to screaming about the greater biome.
And what I loved about that interlude was that I had everyone real self-control to not take detachment or stress or something like that, because like you're all just being driven up the wall by these two arguing
about Oreos causing the crash.
No, I think Caleb's reaction was like the most priceless. He's like, "God damn it, shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, because he failed his check.
Yeah, no, but it's not just a failing check. I think Caleb personally was being driven up the wall by this shit. It was great.
I also think the shortest but most awesome vignette was me and my brother.
Yeah,
we were playing a game of Battleship.
Yeah,
oh god,
and I think it was only because it's my brother blamed himself for making me into a latent, and I kind of blamed him too.
Yeah,
and so
did I play that one?
Yeah, you.
That was another me. I did get it. I got a return. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the first one where it's like sometimes a thing must die.
Yeah. What was the line, Tom?
And it's basically just I forget what my brother said to me, but there's like just a long silence, and then just hit. And then that's when Caleb's like, "Oh, scene."
Yeah.
No, before that, it was the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The very first. I think actually I don't.
No, the scene. Yeah, the Battleship.
I'm not sure. Somebody can correct this. It might have been the very first vignette of the campaign.
It was like the first or second scene that McCready got.
It was basically the TV was on the fritz.
Yeah.
And I was playing Tom's brother, and he's smacking the TV a couple times, and he goes, "Sometimes a thing just lives longer than it should." And Caleb just goes, "Scene, we're done, we're done, we're done."
It was a good way to end the scene.
It was a good scene.
Great. Unfortunately, we didn't end it. We kept going. But
I wanted to give everybody the equal amount of screen time.
But I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
And so I was like mostly banned.
Because half vignettes tended to go a little longer than others.
I was mostly banned from doing vignettes after that.
Yeah. No,
it was too perfect.
All right.
Damn you.
So yeah, it's something to look forward to. I mean, what Red Marks mechanically encourages, I think,
lots of player interaction.
PC relationships through the vignettes.
No, I love the vignettes. I love the end game
and the interludes.
Fantastic.
So it's just a great little game.
It's a great game. It gives mechanics to encourage people towards better role playing.
Buy that game. But also, don't forget B-Sides Volume 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen.
You must.
All right.
You will hear it.
Ross Fady with Roleplay Public Radio. RPPR, episode 128. My Player's Keeper. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Have a good one.